Okay, I'm going to show you how to open a method file for the Instron 3366 and how to read it and edit it. So the first thing to do is go to my computer, so it's open my computer, go to this PC, go to the C drive, go to Instron 3366 users, and you will have a folder in there that I've created for you. So you can create a shortcut to this if you like on your desktop. That's my folder. Go in here, then you usually have a methods folder created within that. So go to methods, and I'm going to choose a tensile method. So double click tensile method, and then open the last one that was created. So open here. So you should hear a clicking noise when it's beginning to communicate with the machine. That's it there now. Okay, so it opens up by default into the test as if you actually want to do a test, but you might want to look at the method and maybe edit the method. So go to Blue Hill. Now you'll see test method admin. You never need admin, you only need either the method, and if you've already edited it, it's fine and go straight to test. So we go to method and it's checking again, is this the one we want? So that's it there. We go to open, and now this is the method. So the first thing we want to check is what's the type of method. General, it's tension. Okay. Sample. Generally, a sample is a selection of specimens. So you might have 10 or 20 specimens in one sample. You can describe the sample whatever way you want. You can put in numbers or text inputs. Call it literally whatever you want to call it. Now the specimen is the individual specimens. What are the dimensions of that? The width, the thickness, the length. And put the final width, thickness, length the same. Okay. So now the next thing you need to do is look at test control. So, and test. What is the actual speed you're testing at? So 10 millimeters a minute, 2 millimeters a minute, or 1 millimeter a minute. Okay. Now how do you decide the test is over? Click on end of test. You've got 3 different criteria. The usual criteria is when it drops by say 90% of its max load, you'll say that it's broken. And it has to have a threshold by which it passes that. It has to pass this threshold of 8 newtons. Otherwise, if you have no threshold, it may trip out at the very beginning of the test when it's just getting started. So that's one criteria. If the load drops by 90% of your max force, the next thing is let's protect the load cell. It's a 10 kilonewton load cell. So let's put a protection in there, say 8 kilonewtons. And then what do we want to happen when it ends? End of test action. Easiest thing to say is just stop. Now data. We're going to take data every 50 milliseconds, which is 20 points per second. You can change this, but that's a good ballpark figure to start with. Now console. This is what you're going to read here. The live displays. These are live displays, extension load, and that's these up here. Okay. Now soft keys are the keys up on the very top here. See these keys? They're used to zero extension. I can click zero extension and to balance load before you start a test. So there's not that much you really need on the edge here. You need the specimen, you need the test control, live displays, soft displays, and the actual speed of the test. And then exports, where is it going to go? So you've got to set this. You can click this browse button and set where the data is being saved. Now you're going to get a report file, which is a PDF. You're also going to get raw data in the form of an Excel file. Okay, so that's basically it. You can do other things, prompt the test, but let's not worry about that. So these are your live displays, these are your soft keys, and if we've made some changes, we just go save, okay? And now we click Blue Hill, and save the method, yeah, yes, and override it, yeah. And now go to test, and it's say, do you want to use this method that you just edited? We say yes, go to next, and sample name, you can change the sample name here if you want, or use the one that we put in the method. Go next, and now it's giving you an option to change the thickness, width and length of each individual specimen as you test it. So say we don't want to do that, we're happy with those dimensions, go next. Okay, now you can change the specimen label, again change these here. Now we're ready to start, right? So assuming I've got my specimen in, it's tight, I zero extension, I balance load. Wait a minute, that will balance. Now press start, and now it's going to balance itself again, and now it's start. And if I pull on the load cell, there's the force. So the force is this column here, and this is displacement. So I'm holding that load cell, and as soon as I let go, it's going to trip out the test using the criteria for 90% drop. So if you watch what happens now, drops down, test is over. Imagine now I move the crosshead up, I take out my specimen, I put in my new specimen, I tighten it up, I zero extension, I balance load, and then I'm going to say next. I'm ready for specimen 2. Okay, specimen 2. I'm ready to press start. It says auto balance. Now I'm going to test again. I'm going to pull on the load cell. See the force going up? If I let go of the load cell, it's going to trip out the test because it's going to drop by 90% of the max force. I'm going to let it go now. It drops down. Okay. So now I've done 2 tests. Now I can continue on doing tests, and no data will be exported until I click this finish checkered flag here. It's held in a buffer, it won't be lost, but it's only when you click finish, and then you'll get raw data in the form of Excel files, and you'll get a PDF report of all the tests. So I click finish now, and I say finish sample, okay, and do you want to send test, start another new sample? I'm going to say no, okay. So now the data has been exported. So if I minimize this here, and if I go to my computer and go to this PC, go to C, and go to Peter, that's where I sent this in the exports in the method file. Now you should see this here, 231, 256, this is it here, it's going by the time. So if we click on that, that's the raw data. So if I open one of those files there, and if I click on extension versus load, then I go insert, then I come over here and go scatter, there's my graph. Now if I close this and say, do you want to save? I say yes. It's not actually an Excel file, it's a CSV. I switch that to Excel, and now I go save, and now it's saved. So we've got a CSV and an Excel in the first test. Come out of this, and you look for a PDF that was at 256. There it is there. Double click this here, and there's our report file. There's our report file. Okay. So close that and close this, and I'm going to stop recording. Stop.